Here's something strange. Your baby might be doing something brilliant right now, and you'd never know to look for it. Not because you're not paying attention, not because you're a bad parent, but because the signs of a sharp, fast-developing mind rarely look like what we expect smart to look like. We picture flashcards, early words, precocious little geniuses reciting the alphabet. What actually happens is quieter, stranger even, and most parents scroll right past it without a second thought. So today, we're looking at 3 signs that researchers connected to early cognitive development have flagged as meaningful. 3 things your baby might already be doing that most parents never notice, never mention to the pediatrician, and never think twice about. One has to do with how your baby watches a room, one has to do with what happens when something doesn't make sense to them, and one has to do with a behavior that honestly looks a little bit like mischief. Stick around till the end because the third one is the one almost everyone misreads completely, and once you see it, you won't unsee it. Now, before we go further, every baby develops on their own timeline, and this isn't about turning your living room into a laboratory or your baby into a project. Development isn't a race, and there's no trophy for early, but there is something worth paying attention to here. Not so you can worry, but so you can actually see what's happening in front of you. Because half the time, what looks like just a baby being a baby is actually a small mind doing something remarkable. Picture 2 babies at a birthday party. One baby cries, the second a stranger leans in smiling, the other baby goes very still, eyes locked, studying the new face like it's a puzzle to be solved. No smile back yet, no fuss, just intense, quiet focus. Most parents assume the crying baby is the sensitive one, and the staring baby is just distracted or slow to warm up. But that stillness, that's often the opposite of distraction. That's concentration. Researchers in early child development have long pointed to something called attention control, basically a baby's ability to lock focus on something and hold it there, as one of the earliest visible signs of strong cognitive processing. A baby who studies a stranger's face for an unusually long stretch isn't being antisocial, they're doing intense pattern recognition work, comparing this new face to every face they've stored in memory, noticing what's different, filing it away. It's less shy baby and more baby doing quiet, serious research. The second sign shows up when something breaks the rules of what your baby expects. Say you're playing peekaboo and instead of your face reappearing, you make a silly toy appear instead. A baby who just giggles and moves on isn't necessarily less sharp, but a baby who pauses, frowns slightly, and stares at the toy for a beat too long, that pause is often a sign they noticed the world didn't behave the way they predicted it would. Psychologists studying infant cognition describe this as a baby actively testing their own model of how things work and getting mildly thrown when reality doesn't match it. That little furrowed brow moment is a baby doing philosophy, basically, in diaper form. Here's the part that might surprise you. If you've ever felt a flicker of worry because your baby seems to stare too long or take too long to react, you can let that go. What looks like slowness is very often depth. A baby who pauses to process isn't behind. They're just doing more work per second than the baby who reacts instantly and moves on. If this is the first time you're hearing any of this, drop a comment below. I'd love to know which of these 2 signs you've noticed in your own baby. So, what do you actually do with this? You don't need a curriculum, you don't need flashcards or an app that promises to boost baby IQ for $19.99 a month. You need 3 simple habits, and you can start today. First, narrate the world out loud in real sentences. When your baby is staring at that stranger's face or fixated on the dog across the room, talk about what they're looking at. That's a big dog. He has brown fur. He's sniffing the grass. You're not teaching vocabulary yet. You're feeding the exact pattern recognition system they're already running, giving it more raw material to chew on. A baby folding laundry beside you while you describe the colors and textures is getting more real cognitive input than the same baby propped in front of a smart screen toy. Second, let the pause happen. When your baby hits one of those "Wait, that's not what I expected" moments, the peekaboo trick, the toy that squeaks when it shouldn't, resist the urge to immediately fix it, narrate it, or move on to the next activity. Give it 3 or 4 seconds of silence. That's their brain doing the work. Parents often fill every gap with reassurance or explanation out of instinct, but a little unfilled space is exactly where this kind of thinking happens. Third, follow their stare, not your agenda. If your baby is locked onto something, a spinning ceiling fan, a crinkling bag, your face, resist redirecting them to whatever toy you'd planned to play with. Sit with them in it. Ask out loud, almost like a question to yourself, "What are you looking at?" That single habit, repeated daily, does more for early attention building than most subscription-based development programs, which often rely on flashy lights and sounds to hold attention, rather than letting a baby build their own focus. None of this costs anything. It doesn't require a screen, a class, or a specialized toy. It just requires slowing down enough to notice what's already happening. If you've made it this far, here's something worth sitting with. The fact that you're even watching a video like this means you're already paying closer attention than most. You don't need to overhaul anything. You don't need a new routine starting tomorrow. You're already doing more right than you think. If this video helped you see your baby a little differently today, consider subscribing, because next week we're covering the sign almost every parent misses at 18 months, and you won't want to miss it. A like helps this reach other parents who are quietly wondering the same things you were before you clicked play. So, tonight, when your baby goes still and stares at something only they seem to understand, don't rush to fill the silence. Just watch them think.